Hello and welcome to Rock Studios in Asia Pacific. My name is Gurvin Kaur and I am the Regional Content Lead. And today in the studio, I'm joined by Dennis Tang, our Director for Intelligent Devices in Asia Pacific. Hi Dennis, how are you doing?
Hi Gurvin, very good. How are you?
Good, happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So, intelligent devices, can you help us break down why we use this term? Because essentially, isn't it just hardware?
Yeah, I think you can refer to it as hardware, but I think why we call it intelligent devices is now, before it was just hardware on the plant floor operating, in a kind of binary or very simple methodology. Now, given where we are today, we want to have devices that actually have smarts in it. So they're actually intelligent, they're pulling the data that you want and you need, and then managing it and even sending it to the software platforms to be able to use that data effectively for your operation.
So that links back to the whole evolution, right, of industrial automation. In your time at Rockwell, how have you seen this change?
Yeah, I think to what you just mentioned, again, the name of intelligent, right? It's more and more data, it's more and more integration, it's simpler use, right? So again, there were times when you wanted a lot of functionality, you wanted a lot of capabilities. To achieve those things, you could do it, but you needed to have a lot of engineering resources. You needed to have a lot of complex integration technologies come together. I think now with intelligent devices, not only are we wanting to give you that data, now we also want to make it easier because skilled workforce may be challenging to find, or there's so many technologies out there today, they can't possibly know everything. So the easier you make it, but providing at the same time that full access of data, that's what we're trying to do.
So you mentioned data a couple of times, and it can be very overwhelming for some manufacturers.
That's right.
So what really is the value of data from the machines and devices to bring it into the productivity of an overall line?
Yeah, I think as these companies are trying to operate, they're trying to get more efficient, they're trying to save money, they're trying to be more sustainable, right? All that comes from what is actually happening on the plant floor. So what is that machine actually doing? What is the health and the conditions of that machine? When are there going to be issues with certain assets on that, the pump, the fan, the blowers, right? When are those going to go down? That could cause a catastrophic failure or downtime of the production. So that's why data is important. What is actually happening on the plant floor? How can you use that data to understand this current conditions? How can you use that then to optimize your operations? And then actually how can you cut down waste? And then as you talk about sustainability, how can you then use that data to be more sustainable? Managing your injury costs, managing your water usage, managing your waste. So all those things come from what is happening on the plant floor.
So you mentioned one key theme, which is sustainability. Do you see other key themes that have emerged following the pandemic in terms of how manufacturers are paying attention to what they need from their machines?
Yeah, I think there's two key things that we've definitely seen. One is remote access.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because during
Working
the
from
pandemic,
home.
exactly, people working from home, or people not being able to go in because of safety. So we already had those capabilities, but now obviously the pandemic just accelerated that. So how can I quickly have access to my equipment? How can I manage and control the equipment from remotely? And then obviously right now, because of some of the things we've seen in the media, how can I do that securely and safely, right? So I'm not introducing viruses or someone's not able to get into my systems, right? So that's also a key part of our value proposition, I guess, is that we can enable you to do that, but do it in a secure fashion. And then I think the other key thing that we've seen from the pandemic was, how do I get to more autonomous operations, right? How do I reduce the number of skilled or workers that I need on the plant floor? Because as through that pandemic, I think we've seen the churn or the turnover of the workforce and the labor. So the less amount of people I need on the floor, right, then the less risk that I may have, right, in that area. So how do we help them become more autonomous? How to reduce the amount of operators they need on the plant floor, and how can they manage that more effectively from a control room or from the data that they have?
So there's data, and then there's also the point about autonomous which brings in the point about how we're shifting from Industry 4.0 to Industry 5.0.
Right.
So could you perhaps share what Industry 5.0 means and how does it impact the manufacturers and workers on the factory floor in how the relationship is going to change between human and machine?
Okay, I think the key thing that I think we're seeing and then the trends going from 4.0 to 5.0 was now we're seeing the acceleration of the customization of the products that are needed, right? So I think there was a time we were very effective to optimize large batches, large production runs, right? So now we're seeing more and more customization in terms of how consumers want the goods packaged, right? From an automotive, what are all the different options they want? That all adds complexity to your process. Now in terms of consumer goods and foods, right now I want different size packages, or I want different flavors, or I want 20 flavor choices instead of 2, right? So all those things add into the complexity. So that's where we see 5.0 is really taking us. So to be able to enable to do that, again, you got to have the data of what's happening on your plant floor. How can you adjust and change over quickly? How can you manage the processes and materials in an effective manner to be able to do that without stopping or slowing down your overall throughput?
Well, thank you for sharing all these insights, Dennis. And if you would like to learn more of how we can support you, check out rockwellautomation.com. Thank you.